Hello and welcome to this very special reading about 3i Atlas. Largely, I haven't read that much about it. I know that it's a big old comet that is coming very, very quickly our way to this, in the direction of this planet. Largely, comets are about, they bring significant change that we can't even conceptualize, almost like the potential for evolution on a mass level. They bring, imagine it's like this really compact, sort of like celestial body that's moving at this great pace from some other place, some other solar system into ours, exposing us to energies and intensity that we're not familiar with, we've never seen before because we've never been to that other galaxy. So when you think about it like that, that's the vibe. So comets bring whole new ways of thinking, whole new conceptualizations about the way you see the world and different perspectives for everything. So I wanted to do a reading on what was the purpose of it? How is this going to impact us? How will it look? How will it feel to humanity? And how do we work with it? So for those of you that like to work with energies, this card reading is for you. Welcome. My name is Angelyn. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I have drawn cards and studied them. And I will tell you that the very first thing that happened was I wanted to find out the purpose. Like, what is this? What is the purpose of this giant celestial entity, for lack of a better term, this comet that is coming toward us? And I gotta tell you, I laughed when I got the cards for the purpose. Now I want you to look. We have the Hierophant, the Nine of Pentacles, and the High Priestess. Now, I'm going to show you the High Priestess and the Hierophant. Now look closely. You will notice that there are pillars on both. These pillars in both of these cards, and they're the only cards in the whole deck that have these pillars, the pillars are about walking through a portal or walking through a doorway from one way of being, one way of thinking, into another one. It's about graduation, moving up, following the knowledge, following the impulses to that, these impulses to try this, do it this way, talk to this person. So what became very clear very quickly is that this comet is bringing with it the energy of absolute expansion. Now, if you've been watching my tarot cards, you know that expansion usually hurts. It doesn't feel good. Think about that. Like, as we open ourselves up to some entirely new thing, we're going to have to manage what is already going on, the thing that we've been doing. It might mean disengaging from behaviors, thoughts, beliefs, people. That's tough. We don't know what this is going to bring, but we do know that this is going to bring a doorway into another way of thinking. In between the two cards of portals, we have the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is about, we're nearing the end. We are nearing the end of a cycle. Which sort of resonates with this walking in through these portals into a higher place. It also can represent, think about a lot of coins in your pocket. It can represent a bunch of ideas, a bunch of people, a bunch of things, a bunch of us are going to be walking through these portals, through the portal and into something. And it's a portal, right? Like, it could be a real portal. I don't know. I don't see those things. Some people do. But it's a metaphor for a new way, a new way of thinking, believing, behaving. and it looks like it's going to be a very rich time. So I think the purpose is that we're going to be completing something that has needed to be completed, and moving into an expanded or higher view. So, how's it going to look? How is it going to look? Well, it's going to look like probably difficulty. It's going to look like a bunch of things that we can't control. It's going to look like us doing our very best to move forward, because it's important to make sure that we're moving forward, even if there's a bunch of stuff happening that we can't control. And it looks like that it's going to impact, and we're going to see it. We're going to see the impact on the collective. We're going to see the impact on our communities, our towns, our friends, our families. And it's tricky because those of us who follow energy and resonate with those terms, everybody else is like, y'all, but you'll still be able to see it. You'll be able to see around you that people might be feeling more helpless. They might be feeling more afraid. They might be looking around themselves and noticing that the people around them are feeling that way, like a sense of anxiety, a sense of, I've got to get out of here. What the heck is going on? About something in their life that needed to change. It is going to feel like an introduction to a new way of experiencing or feeling love, a new way to nurture, a new way to be with ourselves and in this current world, in this current state. And it's going to feel beautiful. It's going to feel rich. This is the Queen of Pentacles. It's going to feel good, but it may not look good. That's what this is saying. It may look hard, but it's going to ultimately feel good. When we look out and things look hard, it can be scary. At the end, sometimes we can understand, I see. Now it feels better. It feels more controlled. So when I asked the cards to give me a little bit more information about the purpose, I wanted to understand it a little bit more. In other words, like how do we need to look at this portal? What is this multitude of things that the Nine of Pentacles is representing? And I got a very cryptic response, in my opinion. So, we got the Temperance card and the Sun, two very powerful cards. These cards indicate that we're going to need to do some work to be able to stay in our senses, to stay grounded, to be able to stay listening, feeling, making sure that we are in our senses. We're understanding when we're feeling pleasure, when we're feeling pain, when we're annoyed, when we're happy. We need to be able to stay in our bodies. And in order to do that, because these energies are going to be very big, they're going to feel very big. There's a lot of fire and electricity in what is happening. We're going to need to make sure that we are tempering all of that fire with, I'm going to say it again. I need to make sure that I'm tempering that with rest, with nutrition, with exercise, with connecting to the people that I love and that love me back. We need to be in our senses and in our bodies. And know that we can temper the energy, that beautiful, bright, masculine, action-oriented energy of the sun. We can temper that just through taking care of ourselves. It's true. The other cards, we have the Hermit, and because I'm using two different decks here, and again, the Nine of Pentacles. He is about going on a journey and finding illumination. He's holding his lantern in the direction of the Nine of Wands. In other words, he will illuminate. You will know when this is happening what the Nine of Pentacles is. And I take this to mean, but not right now. Because you can't conceptualize it, because you've never felt this energy before. That's what I understand from the cards. So, okay. So once we get closer to mid-December, because I think it's around December 15th, 16th, 17th, something like that, that 31 Atlas will be closest to our planet. As we get closer and closer to that time, we will understand more. That's how I understand that and take that. All right, so how do we work with this energy? Well, the cards gave me a Chariot. The Chariot says that you need to focus on the prize, focus on where you're going. So first, you need to know where you're going. You can't do that unless you've done the temperance work. You're staying grounded. You're staying in your body. You're living through your senses, and you're trusting that I'm going to know. I'm going to figure this out. I will know what the Nine of Pentacles is at some point. And so you got to do that work. And then you have to take action and move toward it. The Chariot, the Chariot is ultimately a positive card. It can indicate a level of urgency or a level of need to get to a place, but it's a place that he knows is right. It's not just any old place. So the work has to be done to stay grounded. So above everything, we need to stay grounded. We need to not lose our heads in whatever this looks like in the coming months. And we need to sort of focus on where we want to go, what we want to achieve, how we want to manage ourselves through all of this. And we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan. This is the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is all about, planning, strategizing, not being blindfolded, but being willing to really listen and find clarity. And sometimes you can do that through sitting down and looking at everything, writing it out, or talking with people about it and figuring out the way that you're going to go. The Chariot will be moving. Can you guys see that? Will be moving through that energy. So, yes, he needs to know where he's going. He might also really need to have a clear plan. The second, third, fifth really interesting thing about this is, remember the Temperance card from before? Temperance and the devil they correspond to one another. We've got angel, devil. You know that age-old, you should do the nice thing, you should do the mean thing. The devil and the angel sort of, I don't know if they do that anymore with cartoons, but with cartoons when I was a kid, there was often this theme of like, do the right thing, do the wrong thing. That's one of the things that these cards mean. Now, the devil also can represent things that pull us out of ourselves, that pull us out of alignment, that hurt us, that are not meant for us. It can be also ill feelings, like desiring ill things, maybe, for people. The Chariot is facing the devil. I think that the Chariot is telling us that in order to work with this energy, we really, really, really need to be clear about what we want and how we're going to get there. We need to have a plan of how to manage these feelings and the people that might show up carrying this energy. We need to have a plan figured out because we're going to be moving toward what we want. We're going to be moving toward getting to the place or the energy that we want, and we're going to bump into this. a lot, right? If most people or many people are deeply afraid, are having anxiety about it, are, what is all of this, meanwhile, like, the world is still on fire everywhere in the world right now. Most places, the world is on fire. There's so much happening all over the world right now, which is the age of Aquarius. This is how things fall and become rebuilt. That is how it works. And I feel like we're in this energy. I don't feel like it's over. I don't feel like, I honestly don't feel like it's going to be a very quick thing. I think this is going to be probably something that feels long and drawn out. But for all I know, the long and drawn out has been happening for 10,000 years already. And we just have only been alive for, however many we've been alive. So because we don't really have the perspective of knowing where we are in that, we don't know when to expect some kind of outcome. But we do know that in order to work with this energy, we need to be very comfortable addressing things that are not in alignment with us, people that are not in alignment with us, people that represent things that are deeply uncomfortable for us, parts of ourselves that are deeply uncomfortable. I think this is also a call to get some shadow work done. Like, if you can, get into it, and get into it quick. Get as much done as you possibly can before the end of the year. More cards. These are the last two cards on the way that we can work with this energy. I believe that these go together. This one is unique to the deck. This is New Moon. This is the Seven of Cups. All right, Seven of Cups. And also I'd like to point out we have several sevens here. The Chariot is also a 7. 3 sevens in a row. Interesting. Sevens are about bringing about a time of retreat and feeling sort of like being in a state of allowing and deep connection to yourself. Okay. All right. So the Seven of Cups is saying there's going to be a lot of hidden things, a lot of people pointing to things and saying, this is the answer, or this is what's happening. And it's not what's happening. I don't know if any of us will know, like on a cosmic level, what is actually happening. We may or may not, don't know. But I think anyone who says that, that they know, or that they're somehow in charge of knowing or whatever, like, it's wise to go, really? I think it's wise to question. I think that this card is saying you need to be very discerning. You need to really look closely. If you're going to be working with this energy, you need to be looking closely at your perceptions, what you're believing, where you're getting information, things like that. And you need to visit places that you have not visited before. You need to be willing to be in the darkness. So this theme keeps coming up, right? You need to be comfortable and okay with the darkness that is going to inevitably be happening. Remember that as civilizations, as species have more and more conflict and more polarity, and they move farther and farther from each other, there's eventually a point where it snaps back. And all of us want desperately to either keep things as they are, just hold them there, or to just fast forward to the time when everything's together again. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. And I really think the cards are saying, I don't know that that's actually going to be how it goes. This energetic system that's moving through and by our planet is going to be deeply impactful. It is going to push a lot of people outside of their comfort zone. It is going to be so important that we stay grounded, that we do our work, that we continue to just, every single time a fear comes up, we address it. Where is that from? Is it reasonable? Every time that someone says something or does something that's deeply out of line with your morals and your integrity, let it go. There's just this like sort of theme of being okay. You have to be okay with being in that darkness, with not knowing what's coming. Also though, from chaos and from darkness, that's where creation comes from. So there's always going to be the snap back. There's always going to be the return. That's the way it works. That's the way nature is. And so I think also this is a promise of that. Like, don't forget that from the darkness, from the void, that's where everything comes from. We're going to get through it, but I think there's going to be some challenges. That's okay. We've done challenges before. Community and relying on each other and loving each other and connecting to each other is how we can actively be a part of the solution, in my opinion. The more that we disengage from needing to believe, needing to listen to these external forces, and the more that we can look at ourselves, at our communities, and say, I know that you bake bread and I have chickens. Can we trade? The more that we begin to rely on each other, and that's a very, very like almost silly, small example, but I'm talking about for many things. Can you please help me cut up this tree that fell down on my property so that, the community can still move through my property and cut 3 miles off of their commute into town? Will many of you help me cut this up? Where we start to rely on each other again for those things. I think that's just very, very important. It helps us maintain that feeling of unity, and it helps us maintain a feeling of personal sovereignty, of free will. Thanks for joining me. I hope you got something from this reading. Please let me know in the comments if you have questions or if you disagree or if you're interested in having more dialogue about this. I'm very open to more discussion. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.